dudes and dudettes? Been a while, but of course letting all this news pile up to get a better, longer show to get everything over with. So USC got a commitment from the 2020 quarterback, dual threat guy, and Bryce Young. Recently transferred to Mater Dei. I'm sure it's a lot easier to win a title there than it is at Cajon High School, but he's a pretty talented player from what I've seen, even though he's going into his junior season right now. We'll see how this goes. A lot of times when these younger players commit to USC, especially when it's 2 years in advance and they're quarterbacks, it kind of ends up falling apart. And there is a better player. I don't know if he's the next class coming up next year in 2019 or in 2020 as well. But the quarterback from St. John Bosco, DJ, he's pretty awesome too. I honestly would prefer him, but if you're going to get a guy in Bryce Young for the 2020 year as your freshman quarterback, it's not a bad second place either, so I'm happy either way. And more USC players made awards watch lists. I told you it was going to happen. So for the Jim Thorpe Award, which I'm assuming is the best defensive back, right now they have Amon Marshall and Marvell Tell. Not surprising, they're both seniors, and they did prove to be really good last year. They got a lot better last year, and hopefully they can continue to be a lot better coming up this season. It'd be awesome to have those guys anchoring the defensive backfield. And then also for the Nagurski, which is like the best defensive player out of your whole entire team. 3 guys have made it. I'm glad that Christian Rector's on there, defensive end. He deserves a lot of credit. He played big time, especially last year against Texas. Made the game-winning play basically to strip the ball at the end and overtime, which is pretty awesome. But then you also have Cameron Smith, the senior linebacker. Obvious there, he's a pretty good guy. I assume he's going to be a first-round pick just because of his smarts, but you never know just because whether they think he's slow or not. He'll probably be a second-round pick. Either way, good for him. And then they also have Marvell Tell there as a better player than Amon Marshall for defensive back overall. So they got guys at 3 different levels for USC, which is always great to see. Hopefully they can continue. And then also, once again, Toa Lobadan gets another watch list for the Outland as the best offensive lineman, which is great for him. Hopefully he could rack up at least, I think he has 3 that he's on right now. So good for him and good luck to all those guys. So Lakers re-signed Travis Ware. It's pretty cool to see. He's gotten a lot better since coming out of that other school in LA, UCLA. So he's most likely going to be a G League person. It's pretty cool. He's come in a few times during the regular season and actually performed really well when injuries came up. So good to see him back. And then Trevon Duval, the point guard, one of the lonely Duke players that didn't get drafted this year. Even though he played with Houston in the summer league, he signed with Milwaukee. It's pretty interesting. He'll definitely get a lot more playing time up there, in my opinion. So good luck to him. Congrats to him. 2-way contract as well. And then their Pac-12 Media Day was today, and they chose Washington to represent the North and USC to represent the South. And assumingly those 2 teams would meet in the Pac-12 championship. It's interesting. Washington, it's like they're going to have a pretty tough game early in the season, but obviously it doesn't matter for conference-wise, so they can still get there. They should be better than Stanford, but you never know. Stanford is always sneaky good, and it kind of sucks that they are, but you always got to worry about them. But yes, USC can definitely win the South. Their really main opponent is Utah, and USC has to go to Utah, and where they've recently lost the last 2 years, which sucks, but we'll see. Hopefully we could finally make it 2 years in a row that USC finally beats Utah. Now, I always think it's weird whenever colleges try to recruit kids when they're still barely teenagers and not even into high school yet, but Duke is supposedly eyeing to try to get LeBron James Jr. to come to their school in about 4 to 5 years. It's crazy to think that if they're even in contact right now, I doubt it. But to me, it kind of also doesn't matter either, because I'm thinking about 3 years or so, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, wanted to regulate the rule of having to stay in college for 1 year and pretty much take that away so anybody could come to the NBA whenever they wanted, even out of high school. So it's kind of like a weird thing that they would say that they're going to do that when he's most likely going to be wanting to come to the NBA anyways. I mean, he's pretty good. He's, I mean, it's just, you know, regular stuff for he's going against teenagers, but he's a pretty talented player right now. We'll see how good he can get in the future. And then also Duke is playing in the Maui Invitational again. I believe they're 16-0 ever since they've been in, you know, doing that competition. And against all the teams that are in the bracket now, including Auburn, Xavier, Gonzaga, and Arizona, they are like 9-0. So it's pretty cool, especially in that tournament, that hopefully they can get another W. You know, they'll be going up against a lot of great competition. And obviously you had to have the two of the better teams, Duke and Arizona, on opposite sides of the bracket. So hopefully they can meet in the championship, which would be pretty cool. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. It should be pretty awesome. And surprisingly, USC basketball is also in a pretty much type of little mini tournament. Only 4 teams, including them, called the Hall of Fame Classic. I believe it's Missouri State, Texas Tech, and Nebraska are the only other 3 teams in there. Should be pretty easy for them to win, especially how much talent they're getting, especially from what I'm hearing about this freshman coming in named Kevin Porter Jr., the shooting guard. He's playing in the Drew League, which is like a semi-retired, like ex-guys playing. Even recently, the Lakers, Kyle Kuzma played in it just randomly, just because he wanted to, and NBA players now can do that, and a lot of high school, even Marvin Bagley, ex-Duke player last year, went to go play there and was dominating even how young he was. So I think that's why he decided to reclassify early. And Kevin Porter has been surprising a lot of people, including Isaiah Thomas. You know, he's getting a lot of good rep from NBA players, so it'll be pretty awesome to see him at USC for 1 year. He might not look good. They're saying they'll probably be a lot better in the NBA. That's cool to see. He'll probably be a first-round pick if he has that much talent, according to all these guys. And then also Trey Boston. He's finally going to get a new home. Surprising that the Chargers didn't bring him back at safety, because they were kind of empty at that position, but they did draft Derwin James, and I'm sure they're happy with him to wherever they're going to put him on the defensive field. So they feel they didn't have to bring him back, but he is going to sign with Arizona pretty soon. So good luck to him. He did pretty well for us last year. Hopefully he can continue, just not when he plays against the Chargers again. One of the last few signings for the Ducks, they signed defensive man Brandon Montour to a 2-year deal. Don't know if he's going to get a lot of playing time or not. Seems like a young enough player to get some playing time, especially on the defensive side, since we've had injuries the past couple of years. So good to have the bench at least shored up for now. And then a guard in Donovan Clark. I'm not sure if he's like in the 2nd or 3rd year with the Chargers. He was a 7th-round draft pick, but they recently released him. And I guess because he had an ACL tear and he hasn't really been rehabbing correctly or up to as soon as they wanted, so they did waive him. Too bad for him. Hopefully he can find a home and be able to still be in the NFL. It's a tough league. But thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. A lot of news today. I'm going to do it again just to be able to get all these videos together. It's just tough to always do the videos on only like 5 or 6 things, so I think this is a little bit better format. But let me know what y'all think, and have a great rest of your day.